The world outside is growing quiet, and a story is waiting for you in the stillness. Welcome to Midnight Murmurs Studio, your safe harbor from the noise of the day. Find a comfortable place, close your eyes, and let the story begin. Before our story begins, a gentle reminder for your peaceful rest. For the deepest sleep, it's best to keep your phone at a safe distance from your head. So please take a moment to place your phone on a nearby table or chair. And while it's in your hand for this last moment, a quick tap on like and subscribe becomes a quiet signal to us, a soft murmur in the dark that lets us know these stories are a comfort to you. It's what keeps our studio going. Thank you for that. Now, settle in and let the outside world fade away. In a city that was famous for its lights, there was a small, shadowed alley that preferred the dark. It was called Rue de l'Ombre, the Street of Shadows. It was narrow, paved with cobblestones that were older than the kingdom itself, and it smelled perpetually of rain and wet stone. Tourists never found it. Maps often forgot to draw it. But for those who were looking for something they couldn't name, their feet somehow found the way. Nestled at the very end of this alley was a shop with a window made of curved, rippled glass. Inside, it glowed with a soft, amber luminescence, like a preserved sunset. The sign above the door was simple, painted in gold leaf that was peeling just enough to be charming. L'Essence du Temps, the essence of time. The keeper of this shop was Madame Seraphine. Seraphine was a woman of indeterminate age. She moved with the grace of a ballerina, but had the hands of a gardener, stained with walnut ink and rose oil. Her silver hair was always pinned up with combs made of pearl. She didn't sell commercial perfumes. You wouldn't find Chanel or Dior here. Her shelves were lined with crystal bottles, thousands of them. Some were blue as the midnight ocean, others green as moss, some clear as tears. They didn't have labels like jasmine or vanilla. Instead, they bore handwritten tags in elegant script. First rain of April, the library at midnight, a mother's hug, silence after snow. Seraphine was an olfactory alchemist. She believed that scent was the only language that the brain couldn't edit. A picture could fade, a voice could be forgotten, but a smell could pull you back through time in a heartbeat. The shop was quiet, save for the sound of rain tapping against the glass. Tip-tap, tip-tap. Seraphine stood behind her counter, which was made of polished mahogany. She was grinding dried lavender in a mortar. Crush, grind, crush. The scent released was sharp, clean, and calming. It filled the air, mixing with the underlying notes of beeswax and cedarwood that permeated the shop. She wasn't just making perfume. She was preparing a prescription. A young woman sat in the velvet chair across from her, looking anxious. "I can't sleep," the girl whispered. "My mind, it races. I worry about the future constantly." Seraphine nodded. She didn't offer advice. Instead, she reached for a small vial of blue glass. She added 3 drops of the crushed lavender oil. Then she reached for a jar labeled "old paper." She extracted a drop of oil that smelled like vanilla and dry dust. Finally, she added a hint of wood smoke. She swirled the bottle. The liquids danced together, merging into a silvery fluid. "This is not for your skin," Seraphine said softly, handing the vial to the girl. "Put 1 drop on your pillow. It smells of a safe house in winter. It will tell your primal brain that the wolves are outside and the door is locked." The girl uncorked the vial and took a sniff. Her shoulders instantly dropped 2 inches. A look of pure, unadulterated relief washed over her face. She paid, smiled for the first time in weeks, and left into the rain. Seraphine wiped the counter. This was her work. She didn't cure diseases. She cured the unease of the soul. But the real mystery of L'Essence du Temps wasn't the customers who came. It was the ones who didn't. Every Friday at midnight, Seraphine would prepare a package, a plain wooden box containing a single unmarked bottle. She would leave it on the doorstep of the local orphanage or the hospital, or sometimes a park bench where a homeless man slept. She never waited for thanks. She never left a note. She was the ghost of the alley, dispensing comfort in the form of vapor. The bell above the door chimed, cling-a-ling. It was late, past closing time. Seraphine looked up, her eyes narrowing slightly. A man stepped in. He was tall, dressed in a coat that was expensive but worn at the elbows. He had the look of a man who had been traveling for a very long time, not across land, but across grief. His face was handsome but hollow, etched with lines of deep confusion. He didn't close the umbrella. He just stood there, dripping water onto the wooden floor. "We are closed, monsieur," Seraphine said gently, though she didn't stop grinding her herbs. "I was told," the man's voice was raspy, unused. "I was told you can bottle memories." Seraphine stopped. She looked at him over the rim of her glasses. I can bottle the scent of a memory, but you must bring the memory to me first. You must describe it." The man stepped forward into the light. "That is the problem," he whispered. "I have lost it." He placed a hand on the counter. It was shaking. "I had an accident a year ago, a head injury. I remember facts. My name is Julian. I am an architect. But I don't remember feelings. I don't remember my childhood home. I don't remember the day I met my wife, who passed away before the accident. I am living in a gray room. I know I loved her, but I cannot feel it." He looked at Seraphine with eyes that were desperate. "I found a letter she wrote to me. She mentioned a specific day, a picnic in a field of wildflowers near the ocean before a storm. She said it was the happiest day of our lives." He paused, swallowing hard. "I need you to recreate that day. I need to smell it. Maybe if I smell it, the rest will come back." Seraphine looked at Julian. This was not a simple request for lavender oil. This was a request for a resurrection. "To recreate a moment," Seraphine said slowly, "requires precision. The ocean, was it low tide or high tide? The wildflowers, were they clover or poppy? The storm, was it ozone or rain?" "I don't know," Julian confessed. "All I have is the letter." Seraphine sighed. It was a dangerous task. If she got the scent wrong, she could implant a false memory. But looking at the hollow man before her, she knew she had to try. "Lock the door, Julian," Seraphine said, stepping out from behind the counter. "Tonight we do not sleep. Tonight we hunt for the ghost of a summer day." She walked to the back of the shop, where a velvet curtain hid her private laboratory. This was where the rare ingredients were kept. "I will need you to trust me," she said, lighting a series of oil lamps. The room smelled intense: musk, ambergris, rare orchids. "I am going to mix scents, and you are going to tell me not what you think, but what your body feels." Julian nodded, taking a seat on a wooden stool. Seraphine pulled down a heavy book bound in leather. It was her encyclopedia of atmospheres. She turned to the section on coastal storms. She began to gather bottles. Sea salt, high concentration. Crushed green grass. Ozone, the smell of lightning. Wild honey. "The nose," Seraphine murmured as she uncorked a bottle of clear liquid, "is the direct line to the hippocampus. It bypasses logic. You must close your eyes, Julian. Do not look at the bottles. Just listen to the story they tell. She placed a single drop of the sea salt on a paper strip. She waved it under his nose. Julian inhaled. He frowned. It smells cold. Good, Seraphine said. We start with the cold. She added a drop of bergamot, and this. Julian inhaled again. A flicker of something crossed his face. A muscle twitched in his jaw. That smells like sunlight, but it's faint. We will make it brighter, Seraphine whispered. The atmosphere in the shop shifted. It was no longer a transaction. It was a séance. Seraphine was trying to summon a ghost using molecules of oil. The rain outside hammered harder, as if trying to get in, but inside they were building a different weather system entirely. Seraphine reached for a bottle she rarely used. It was labeled petrichor, the smell of dry earth when rain hits it. This was the key to the storm. Ready? She asked. Julian closed his eyes tight. Ready. The back room of L'Essence du Temps was a sanctuary of silence. The heavy velvet curtains muffled the sound of the rain outside, turning the storm into a distant, rhythmic whisper. Inside, the air was still, waiting to be disturbed by the molecules of memory. Seraphine stood before her organ, a tiered desk that curved around her like a musical instrument, but instead of keys, it held bottles. We begin with the top notes, Seraphine murmured, her voice low and soothing. These are the first impression, the greeting. They are volatile, fleeting, like the first 5 minutes of a meeting. She picked up a small glass pipette. She reached for the bottle labeled bergamot. She squeezed the rubber bulb. Squeeze, release. The clear liquid rose into the glass tube. She held it over a small crystal beaker. Drip, drip, drip. 3 drops. Bergamot for the sunlight, she whispered. It is citrus, sharp and happy. It wakes up the mind. Then she reached for marine accord, a scent she had distilled from actual seawater and kelp. Drip, drip. And the salt, she said, the smell of the ocean breeze. She swirled the beaker gently. Swish, swish. The liquids mixed, creating a pale yellow hue. She dipped a clean paper strip into the mixture and held it under Julian's nose. Julian inhaled slowly, his brow furrowed. I see light. It's bright, too bright. It feels sharp, Good, Seraphine nodded. That is the wind hitting your face. It is supposed to be sharp. Now we must add the heart. The heart notes, Seraphine explained, wiping the pipette with a linen cloth, are the soul of the perfume. They last longer. They tell the story. She walked over to a wooden cabinet and pulled out a jar filled with a thick, waxy substance, clover absolute. It smelled green, sweet, and grassy, the smell of a meadow in late July. She used a small silver spatula to scrape a tiny amount of the absolute. Scrape, tap. She dropped it into the beaker. It dissolved slowly into the alcohol base, turning the liquid a soft green. Then came the wild rose, not the sweet, powdery rose of commercial perfumes, but the spicy, earthy smell of a rose growing wild on a cliffside. Drip, drip, drip. The scent in the room began to change. The sharp citrus was now being softened by the green, floral warmth. It smelled like a garden breathing. Julian inhaled again. This time, his hands relaxed on his lap. "I smell green," he whispered, his eyes still closed. "I smell grass stains on knees. I smell heat." "Yes," Seraphine said softly. "To mimic the sun, we add a touch of beeswax." She added a single drop of warm, honey-scented wax oil. Julian's breathing deepened. The scent was pulling him in. It wasn't just a smell anymore. It was an atmosphere. He could feel the ghost of the sun on his skin. He could almost hear the buzz of invisible bees. The process was slow. Seraphine didn't rush. She treated each drop like a word in a sentence. If she added too much rose, it would become a garden party. Too little, and it would just be grass. It had to be wild. "Now," Seraphine said, her voice dropping an octave, "we must add the bass, the anchor. The top notes fly away, the heart notes fade, but the bass stays on your skin until morning. This is the truth of the memory." The letter had mentioned a storm. A storm meant low pressure. It meant the smell of ozone and damp earth. Seraphine reached for a dark, opaque bottle. Geosmin. It was the scent of earth after rain. It was powerful, primitive. She added only one drop. Plip. Then she added oak moss. It smelled of wet bark and deep forests. And finally, ozone. It was a synthetic note, sharp and metallic, that mimicked the smell of lightning charging the air. She swirled the beaker one last time. The liquid was now a deep, complex amber color. It didn't smell like any one thing. It smelled like a moment in time, captured in a bottle. It smelled of a sunny day that was about to be broken by rain. It smelled of joy mixed with a tiny hint of danger. She placed the beaker on a small heater to let the molecules meld together. The gentle warmth accelerated the bonding process. Seraphine watched Julian. He looked pale, like a man standing on the edge of a cliff. He was trying to remember. He was reaching into the fog of his mind, guided only by this invisible rope of scent she was weaving. After 10 minutes of silence, Seraphine poured the mixture into a final cut glass atomizer bottle. She screwed on the golden pump. Twist, twist, click. She walked around the counter and stood directly in front of Julian. "Julian," she said softly, "this is it. The stormy picnic. I want you to clear your mind. Do not try to find the memory. Let the memory find you." The letter had mentioned a storm. A storm meant low pressure. It meant the smell of ozone and damp earth. Seraphine reached for a dark, opaque bottle. 𝐓𝐡𝐞. It was the scent of earth after rain. It was powerful, primitive. She added only one drop. Plip. Then she added oak moss. It smelled of wet bark and deep forests. And finally, ozone. It was a synthetic note, sharp and metallic, that mimicked the smell of lightning charging the air. She swirled the beaker one last time. The liquid was now a deep, complex amber color. It didn't smell like any one thing. It smelled like a moment in time, captured in a bottle. It smelled of a sunny day that was about to be broken by rain. It smelled of joy mixed with a tiny hint of danger. She placed the beaker on a small heater to let the molecules meld together. The gentle warmth accelerated the bonding process. Seraphine watched Julian. He looked pale, like a man standing on the edge of a cliff. He was trying to remember. He was reaching into the fog of his mind, guided only by this invisible rope of scent she was weaving. After 10 minutes of silence, Seraphine poured the mixture into a final cut glass atomizer bottle. She screwed on the golden pump. Twist, twist, click. She walked around the counter and stood directly in front of Julian. "Julian," she said softly, "this is it. The stormy picnic. I want you to clear your mind. Do not try to find the memory. Let the memory find you." Julian nodded. He took a deep breath and let it out. He unbuttoned his collar slightly. Seraphine raised the bottle. She aimed it not at his nose, but into the air above him. Psst, psst. A fine mist descended. It sparkled in the lamplight like diamond dust. It settled on Julian's hair, his coat, his skin. At first, there was silence. The ticking of the clock seemed to stop. Then, the scent hit him. It started with the sharp salt of the sea, then bloomed into the warm, sweet clover, and finally, the heavy, electric smell of the coming rain. Julian sat frozen. His eyes were squeezed shut. His chest rose and fell rapidly. The scent triggered the olfactory bulb, which sent a signal directly to the amygdala, the emotional center of the brain. It bypassed his damaged logic. It bypassed the gray fog. His hand flew to his mouth. A gasp escaped his lips, a sound that was half sob, half laugh. I can hear it," he whispered, his voice trembling. I can hear the thunder." He wasn't just smelling it. The scent had unlocked the door. The sensory details were flooding back. Seraphine stood back, watching the alchemy take hold. She had done her part. She had built the key. Now she watched as Julian turned it. The scent hung in the air, invisible yet heavier than iron. For a moment, Julian sat frozen on the wooden stool, his hands gripping the edges of the seat so hard his knuckles turned white. The ticking of the clock in the shop seemed to slow down, then stop altogether. Inside Julian's mind, the gray wall that had blocked his past for a year began to crack. It didn't shatter violently, it dissolved, like mist burning off under the morning sun. First came the color, blue. Not just any blue, but cornflower blue. It was the color of a dress. Then came the sound, the wind rustling through tall, dry grass, the distant rumble of thunder rolling over the ocean. And then her face. "Ilara," Julian whispered. The name didn't feel like a foreign word anymore. It tasted like honey. He was no longer sitting in a dark perfume shop in Paris. He was there. He was sitting on a plaid blanket. The air was thick with the humidity of the approaching storm. He could feel the prickly heat of the sun on his neck. He looked to his left, and she was there. She was laughing, holding a strawberry to her lips. The wind was whipping her hair across her face. He felt the emotion hit him like a physical wave. It wasn't just the image of her. It was the feeling of loving her. It was a warmth that started in his chest and spread to his fingertips. The emptiness that had defined his life since the accident was suddenly filled to the brim. Tears began to stream down Julian's face in the real world, hot and fast. He didn't wipe them away. He sat there, eyes closed, breathing in the scent of the stormy picnic, letting the memory wash over him, reclaiming the joy he thought was lost forever. Seraphine watched him from the shadows. She didn't speak. She knew that this moment was sacred. To interrupt a man reuniting with his soul would be a sin. She merely stood guard, ensuring the space remained safe for his journey. After what seemed like an hour, though it was only minutes, Julian opened his eyes. They were red, but they were no longer hollow. The frantic confusion was gone, replaced by a deep, sorrowful peace. He looked at Seraphine. He didn't need to say it worked. His face said everything. "I remember," he croaked, his voice thick with emotion. "I remember the way she looked at me when the first drop of rain fell. I remember how we ran to the car, laughing. I remember. I was happy." "The memory was never lost, Julian," Seraphine said softly, stepping forward. "It was just locked in a room where you couldn't find the key. The nose knows the way." She picked up the crystal bottle containing the rest of the perfume. She placed it in a small velvet pouch. She tied it with a silver ribbon. "Take this," she said, placing it in his hand. "Use it sparingly, not to live in the past, but to remind yourself that the love was real, that you are real." Julian looked at the bottle as if it were the Holy Grail. "How can I repay you? I have money, I have—" Seraphine shook her head. "There is no charge for returning a man to himself. My payment is seeing the light come back on in the house." She walked him to the door. The rain outside had stopped. The cobblestones of Rue de l'Ombre were glistening under the street lamps like black diamonds. "Go home, Julian," Seraphine whispered. "Sleep tonight. For the first time in a year, you will not be alone. You have your story back." Julian walked out into the night, but he didn't walk with the heavy, shuffling gait of a lost man. He walked with purpose. He held the velvet pouch against his chest. He took a deep breath of the cool night air. It smelled of rain and wet stone, but underneath it, he could still smell the faint trace of wild roses and ozone. He smiled. Back inside, the shop was quiet again. Seraphine locked the door. Click, clack. She turned the sign to closed. She walked back to her laboratory. It was time to clean up. The ritual of cleaning was just as important as the mixing. It was the way she grounded herself. She took the crystal beaker that had held Julian's memory. She washed it in warm, soapy water. Splash, swish. She dried it with a soft linen cloth. She capped the bottles of bergamot, oak moss, and geosmin. She placed them back on their shelves, arranging them by height. Every bottle had a place. Every scent had a home. The shop smelled wonderful. It was a mixture of 100 stories, 100 lives that had passed through these doors. But now it was settling down. The magic was going to sleep. Seraphine extinguished the oil lamps one by one. The shadows stretched out, claiming the corners of the room. The amber glow faded, leaving only the silver light of the moon filtering through the rippled glass window. Seraphine made herself a cup of tea, linden blossom and honey. She sat in her favorite velvet armchair in the corner of the shop. She listened to the silence. It wasn't an empty silence. It was a full silence. It was the silence of a job well done. She thought about Julian, probably home by now, sleeping deeply, dreaming of a blue dress and a stormy sky. She thought about the girl with the anxiety, sleeping with the scent of lavender on her pillow. She realized that she was a cartographer too, in a way. But instead of maps of land, she drew maps of the heart using vapor and essence. Her eyelids grew heavy. The scent of the linden tea drifted up, warm and floral. She leaned her head back. The shop, filled with its thousands of bottled memories, stood watch around her. They were safe. They were sealed. The city of Paris slept outside. The river Seine flowed quietly to the sea. And in the hidden alley of shadows, the perfumer of lost memories finally closed her eyes, drifting into a dreamless, fragrant sleep, wrapped in the comfort of a world where nothing is ever truly forgotten.
And so, our story comes to a gentle close. May your mind be calm, and your dreams be kind. If you're still listening, we'll be waiting for you here again with another story from Midnight Murmurs Studio. Until then, sleep well.